Humanity is undergoing an evolutionary process of consciousness, the progressive activation of your light body, an energetic field that serves as your vehicle for dimensional ascension. This vehicle has a name, Merkaba, two interpenetrating tetrahedrons forming a star tetrahedron around your body, 55 feet of sacred geometry that should be spinning near the speed of light. In most people, it remains completely still. 8 cells at the center of your body have never died since conception. They hold the blueprint of everything you can become. At the 10th level of activation, you exist wherever you want, whenever you want. At the 12th, the universe implements any decision you make. This is biology operating at frequencies we were taught to ignore. The Merkaba reconnects you with higher multidimensional frequencies. It has always been there. You just forgot how to turn it on.
There's something around your body right now. A luminous field extending several feet beyond your skin, invisible to ordinary eyes, as real as the bones holding you upright. You were born with it, and somewhere along the way you forgot it existed. Toshiro Tachiren dedicated her life to mapping this invisible territory. Identified as an angelic walk-in who arrived on this planet on July 11, 1985, she served as a conduit for the teachings of Archangel Ariel. In her central work, What is Light Body?, she describes the light body as a multi-level energetic field that extends our consciousness through a holographic model, a functional structure connecting what you call self to dimensions your rational mind can't even conceive. This describes a rare soul exchange, a sacred agreement, a consensual transfer of consciousness where the original soul departs, allowing a high-frequency presence to step into the physical vehicle for a specific mission. In this narrative, the human personality becomes a willing instrument. This explains the profound anonymity surrounding Toshiro. The focus was never on the woman, but strictly on the transmission of knowledge itself. When I first came across this, I couldn't stop thinking about this, because it means we've spent our entire lives ignoring the vehicle that could take us beyond everything we know. Your physical body, you know well. You can touch it, see it in the mirror, and feel pain when something hurts it. The light body operates at different frequencies. It responds to thoughts, emotions, and intentions. When activated, it functions as a transducer, converting energies from higher dimensions into something your cells can process. Have you ever gotten chills for no apparent reason? Ever walked into a room and immediately knew something was wrong before any visual information confirmed it? Ever woken up at 3 in the morning with inexplicable clarity, as if something greater was trying to break through? Those are moments when your light body is more active than usual, moments when the membrane between dimensions gets thinner. Your body recognizes what your mind hasn't learned to interpret yet. The tradition Tachiren transmits teaches that we're living in a specific era, a window where opposing energies like masculine and feminine, light and shadow, spirit and matter are being forced to find balance. And that balance happens inside us, in the field surrounding our physical body and anchoring it to the higher frequencies of the multi-dimensions. Stop and take that in. The energetic field you carry has a practical function. During the process, traditions call ascension, this field becomes the literal transition vehicle for the soul, and this happens while you're still breathing, walking, and questioning. Real electrical currents connect this field to your cells, to your DNA, to all the coded data you've carried since conception. When the light body begins to activate, these currents intensify. You feel tingling, waves of heat, sensations of expansion that conventional medicine can't explain. This kept me up for nights when I first started investigating. The teachings describe this process as assisting in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual healing, but it goes beyond healing. It reveals gifts that were hidden, talents you didn't know you had, perceptual abilities that seemed reserved for saints and mystics, and perhaps most importantly, it reveals your soul's purpose as a concrete direction, not a vague concept. We spend so much time searching for purpose in the wrong places, in careers, relationships, and material achievements, while the answer was encoded in the field surrounding us, waiting for us to learn how to listen. The light body radiates luminous energy and electromagnetically connects your multidimensional self to the infinite universe. You function as an antenna, and the quality of the signal you receive depends on the state of your field. When we live in fear, the field contracts. When we carry unresolved trauma, the field distorts. When our beliefs limit our perception of what's possible, the field responds and also limits what we can access. The reverse also works. When we raise our vibration through healing old wounds and expanding what we believe is possible, the field expands, clarifies, and begins functioning as it was designed, a portal between what you are now and what you can become. This era combines opposing energies in perfect balance, a union that activates light and protection around the body and transports consciousness to higher dimensions. This biological potential is available to anyone willing to remember. And that's the key word, remember. You don't need to build the light body because it already exists. The vehicle is already there. What you need to do is recognize it and consciously begin activating it. The field exists. You carry it. The only thing left to decide is whether you'll keep ignoring it. Inside your body, at the exact geometric center of what Eastern traditions call the root chakra, there's a structure of 8 cells. These 8 cells formed at the moment of your conception and have remained identical ever since. They've never divided, never been replaced, never died. They're there now, exactly as they were in the first instant of your physical existence. And around these cells, a geometric shape spins in silence. The ancients called it the Merkaba. The word comes from ancient Hebrew and breaks into 3 parts. Mer means light, Ka means spirit, and Ba means body. Together, they form something like the spiritual light body, or more precisely, the light vehicle that transports spirit and body through dimensions. When I investigated the origin of this knowledge, I found traces in unexpected places. Ancient Jewish mysticism, especially the Hekkalot literature, describes visions of ascent to celestial palaces where this geometric form appears as a transport vehicle between realms. The texts are over 2,000 years old. The Merkaba structure consists of 2 tetrahedrons, 4-sided pyramids, that interpenetrate, sharing the same center and vertical axis, but pointing in opposite directions. One point up, the other down. When you look at this shape from above, it resembles the Star of David. That symbol most people recognize without understanding what it really represents. This fascinated me when I started studying. The Star of David isn't just a religious or cultural symbol. It's the 2-dimensional representation of a 3-dimensional structure that exists around the human body. The 2 interlaced triangles we see on the plane are the shadow of something far more complex spinning in space. Drunvalo Melchizedek, who spent decades studying this geometry, teaches that the Merkaba field around the human body is approximately 55 feet in diameter. He describes how the 2 tetrahedrons aren't stationary, they spin. One rotates clockwise, the other counterclockwise, and this rotation creates a specific electromagnetic field that can be felt and, eventually, controlled. What makes this disturbing is that humans didn't invent this shape. It appears throughout nature, in crystalline structures, in the geometry of water molecules, in cell organization, in plant growth patterns. The universe seems to have a preferred blueprint, and the Merkaba is one of its fundamental expressions. Stop and consider what this means. If this geometry appears spontaneously at every level of creation, from microscopic to cosmic, then we're not talking about an arbitrary symbol someone invented. We're talking about a signature, a structure the universe itself uses repeatedly because it works. The teachings describe the Merkaba field as the blueprint from which your physical and subtle bodies form. Your life journey and your soul's purpose manifest through this geometric matrix. The light body we discussed in the previous chapter isn't a shapeless cloud of energy. It has form, and that form is the Merkaba. Each of the two tetrahedral structures has different functions. One is associated with the mind and spins in one direction. The other is associated with emotions and spins in the opposite direction. When these two rotations are in sync, something happens. The field stabilizes and begins functioning as a vehicle. We've carried this structure since birth, but in most people it's dormant. The tetrahedrons exist, but they don't spin or spin so slowly the field doesn't activate. It's like having a car with the engine off. The structure is there, the potential exists, but nothing moves. Merkaba activation involves getting these fields to start spinning at the correct speed and ratio. Melchizedek teaches that when the mental tetrahedron rotates 34 times, the emotional tetrahedron rotates 21 times. This specific ratio creates harmony between the fields and allows the vehicle to function. I spent weeks trying to understand why these specific numbers. The answer I found impressed me. 34 divided by 21 equals approximately 1.619, the golden ratio, the proportion that appears in nautilus shells, in the arms of spiral galaxies, in the structure of DNA. Again, the same universal signature. The light body transcends space, time, and dimensional reality. This is the promise contained in ancient teachings about the Merkaba. When the field is activated and spinning at the correct ratio, it literally functions as a transport vehicle. Consciousness can move through it to access dimensions that normally remain invisible. One aspect of the Merkaba activates every cell in the body to a specific magnetic resonance and re-establishes a higher connection with the creative light of Source. What this means in practice is that field activation isn't just a mystical experience, it produces real physical changes. The cells respond, the body changes. This sacred geometry exists around you right now, waiting to be recognized and activated. The shape that spins in silence has always been there, since the first moment of your existence, encoded in the 8 original cells that never died. The remaining question is, are you going to let it keep sleeping? If you're hearing this, you've probably felt strange things in your body that you couldn't explain. Headaches that appear out of nowhere and disappear without reason. Extreme fatigue followed by periods of inexplicable energy. Burning sensations at specific points in your body, usually where traditions locate the chakras. Blurry vision that comes and goes. Ringing in your ears that doctors can't diagnose. You probably thought you were getting sick, or worse, that you were going crazy. You're not. Toshiro Tachiren, channeling the teachings of Archangel Ariel, mapped 12 distinct levels of light body activation. Each level brings specific symptoms, real physical transformations, and a progressive reorganization of how your body processes energy. What you interpreted as illness or imbalance might be the exact opposite, signs that something is waking up. This hit me hard when I first encountered this material. The idea that there's a map for these symptoms, that they're part of a coherent process and not a random breakdown, completely changed my perspective. At the first level of activation, something happens in your brain. The number of synapses increases, additional connections form between neurons, allowing impulses of a different nature to pass through. Most people experience this as temporary mental confusion, difficulty concentrating, or a strange sensation that thinking is reorganizing itself. At the same time, metabolism speeds up, and the body begins releasing accumulated toxins, physical, emotional, and mental. It's common to feel flu-like symptoms at this stage. The second level brings something more intense. The etheric blueprint from the sixth dimension begins flooding the body with light, and old energetic structures start dissolving. Many people report reliving past experiences, sometimes from lives they don't consciously recognize. Karmic memories emerge to be processed and released. It can be emotionally overwhelming if you don't understand what's happening. At the third level, something disturbing occurs. Your physical senses deteriorate. Vision becomes blurry, hearing seems muffled, and smell diminishes. And then, after a period that can last weeks or months, they return, but different, sharper than they were before. You start perceiving things that were always there, but remained invisible. We go through the first 3 levels many times without noticing the pattern. We attribute the symptoms to stress, poor diet, or simply aging. The truth is, the body is being recalibrated to operate at higher frequencies. The 4th level marks a decisive shift. Brain chemistry begins changing significantly, and the body's electromagnetic fields alter their configuration. The mental body fully activates and becomes infused with light. Many people experience intense headaches at this stage, especially in the temple and back of the head area, where the brain hemispheres are learning to synchronize in a new way. At the 5th level, something subtle but profound happens. The mental body begins recognizing spirit. Your beliefs, attitudes, and thought processes undergo automatic re-evaluation. Things you believed with absolute certainty start seeming less solid. New understandings arise without you being able to explain where they came from. It's a period of destabilization that can be mistaken for an existential crisis. The 6th level brings a new capacity. You begin to actively and consciously change the reality images in your perceptual field. What once seemed fixed and immutable reveals itself as malleable. Many people describe this as the sensation that the world is less solid, less definitive than it seemed before. At the 7th level, emotional blockages you've carried for decades, perhaps lifetimes, begin to emerge. It's a period of intense purification where you express your divinity and vastness, but first need to clear what was blocking that expression. Old emotions surface seemingly from nowhere. Traumas you thought you'd overcome reappear for final processing. Levels 8 and 9 bring something extraordinary. 3 small crystals, called seed crystals, activate in the etheric body. These crystals begin receiving what the teachings call languages of light, geometric and tonal patterns, carrying information from higher dimensions. A structure called the crystal cell recorder, which contains vast amounts of information accumulated by the soul through countless incarnations across various planets and star systems, begins to become accessible. I spent days processing this information when I found it. The level of detail, the internal coherence of the system, the way each stage prepares the next, all of it points to precise mapping of a real process. Earth has a divine plan that includes 12 light body activations for the entire planet. We're going through this collectively, and the symptoms so many people experience without explanation are part of this planetary mutation. Your body is changing its fundamental structure, becoming less dense, more capable of processing light as an energy source. I kept coming back to the same thought. If the map was always there, who decided we shouldn't see it? There's a moment during deep meditations when something strange happens. A sensation of electrical current rushes through the body quickly, as if someone flipped an internal switch. Tingling runs up the spine, hands warm up, and for a few seconds, you feel something that can only be described as energy moving through you. Most people dismiss this as an effect of breathing, or maybe imagination. But the teachings about the light body offer a different explanation. Your cells are learning to process light as an energy source. This sounds impossible until you understand what actually happens at the cellular level during activation. The DNA you carry in every cell of your body isn't just a genetic information archive. According to the teachings Tachiren transmits, it functions as a biotransducer system designed to decode and work with energies from higher frequencies, transmitting these energies to the rest of the body and eventually to the planet itself. When light body activation begins, something changes in how your cells respond to light. The mitochondria, those structures inside cells you might remember from biology class as energy powerhouses, begin recognizing light as a valid energy source. And when this happens, they produce more ATP, the molecule that carries usable energy for all body functions. This fascinated me when I found this information. The idea that the physical marker of spiritual activation would be something as concrete as ATP levels in cells connects two worlds we normally keep separate. Cells begin absorbing larger quantities of light as usable energy. That's why so many people in the awakening process report that sensation of electrical current rushing through the body, especially during meditative practices. ATP rapidly converts light into energy and transmits it to the physical body. You're literally being fed by frequencies. The body's meridians, those energy channels acupuncture has mapped for thousands of years, take on an expanded function during this process. They begin feeding energy from the oversoul directly into cells, into the energy rotation points, and the cells respond by producing specific frequencies of color, sound, and light that are released back into the system. We function as antennas and transmitters simultaneously. We receive frequencies, process them, and emit them back. The human body is an energy transformation station. What happens with DNA during this process is even more extraordinary. The teachings describe activated DNA sending beams of specific frequency, like internal lasers, to decode incoming information. First, beams at the blue frequency scan the received light and instantly decode all information contained in that band. Then beams at the red frequency do the same with another layer of data. And then, simultaneously, beams of multiple colors flood from the activated DNA, working in sync to process the complete flow of luminous information. Stop and consider what this means for our view of the human body. We were taught to see the body as a biological machine, a set of chemical processes that eventually wear out and stop working. But this view ignores entire dimensions of what the body really is and what it can do. The DNA we carry contains genetic material from every species on Earth and holographically encodes information about all collective human experiences. It's a living archive constantly receiving, decoding, and transmitting. During activation, this archive begins releasing information that was dormant, memories that aren't yours in the individual sense, but are part of the larger field you belong to, abilities that seem to appear from nowhere, knowledge you didn't consciously learn but suddenly becomes available. I was impressed by the technical precision of these descriptions when I studied them. It's not vague language about energies and vibrations. It's a detailed model of how the physical body interacts with non-physical frequencies, with specific mechanisms and observable results. The light entering cells during this process isn't ordinary visible light. It's what traditions call higher light, frequencies carrying information beyond the spectrum our eyes can capture. When your cells learn to metabolize this light, something fundamental changes. The body becomes less dense, more responsive, more capable of sustaining states of consciousness that once seemed impossible to maintain. That's why so many spiritual masters throughout history seem to radiate something. It wasn't metaphor. Their bodies were literally processing and emitting light at frequencies other people could perceive, even without vocabulary to describe it. The cellular transformation occurring during light body activation isn't optional for those incarnated at this time. The entire planet is going through this process, and every human body is responding. The difference is whether you'll go through it conscious of what's happening, cooperating with the process, or resisting without understanding why everything seems so strange. Your cells have already started learning. The question is whether you'll pay attention to what they're trying to show you. Until now, we've talked about what happens inside you, the light body, the Merkaba, the activation levels, the cellular transformations. But there's a larger dimension to this process that most people are completely unaware of. You're not doing this alone. No one is. There's a geometric structure surrounding planet Earth right now, a network of energy and consciousness extending approximately 60 miles above the surface, formed by precise geometric patterns connecting all human beings in a unified field. The teachings call it the Christ consciousness grid. When I first encountered this concept, the word Christ made me hesitate. It seemed too religious, too loaded with specific associations. But the more I investigated, the more I realized the term points to something much larger than any individual religious tradition. Christ consciousness, in this context, refers to a specific level of human consciousness evolution, a stage where separation between individuals dissolves and the perception of unity becomes the dominant experience. The grid surrounding the planet exists to support this collective evolution. It's the energetic infrastructure allowing humanity to take the next step. The geometric form of this grid is extraordinary. It combines two of the 5 Platonic solids, the dodecahedron with its 12 pentagonal faces and the icosahedron with its 20 triangular faces. When you connect the centers of the dodecahedron's pentagons to their points using additional lines, you create what's called the stellated dodecahedron. That's the shape surrounding our planet. Plato, over 2,000 years ago, described this geometry as the ideal body of the cosmos. He understood that Platonic solids weren't just abstract mathematical shapes, but the fundamental building blocks from which reality structures itself. The dodecahedron and icosahedron in particular were considered sacred because their proportions contain the golden ratio, that same mathematical signature we find in the individual Merkaba. The grid is anchored at 2 main points on the planet. One is in Egypt, where the Great Pyramid stands. The other is in Maria, in the French Polynesian islands near Tahiti. These 2 points form the central axis around which the entire structure organizes. And across Earth's surface, where the grid lines intersect, we find the places traditions have always recognized as sacred. This impressed me when I started mapping the correspondences. The power sites that cultures separated by oceans and millennia independently identified. Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, Mount Kailash, the Egyptian pyramids, coincide with nodes of this planetary geometry. These cultures had no way to communicate, but pointed to the same places. Perhaps because these places resonate differently. Perhaps because the grid can be felt by those who pay attention. We're connected to this grid right now, whether we know it or not. Every time someone activates their individual light body, it strengthens the collective grid. Every time someone raises their vibration through genuine healing and consciousness expansion, it contributes to the larger field. The process is individual and collective simultaneously. The teachings describe the Christ grid as encouraging evolution toward a specific type of human being, conscious of their presence, open-hearted, operating with a high degree of fluidity and integrity. The grid doesn't force anyone, it supports, it facilitates, it makes possible what was once extraordinarily difficult. During levels 8 and 9 of light body activation, something interesting happens in relation to this grid. The seed crystals that activate in the etheric body begin receiving languages of light directly from higher dimensions through the grid. It's as if you gained access to a radio frequency that always existed, but your equipment couldn't pick up before. The crystal cell recorder, That structure containing information from all the soul's incarnations across various star systems begins synchronizing with the planetary grid. The information you carry individually connects with information from the collective field. Memories that seemed personal turn out to be shared. Patterns you thought were only yours appear in thousands of other people going through the same process. We were never alone on this journey. The illusion of separation was useful for a time. It allowed the development of individuality, of unique identity. But now that phase is ending. The grid surrounding the planet is activating with increasing intensity, and every person who awakens to their own multidimensional nature strengthens the field for everyone else. That's why you're hearing about these concepts now at this specific moment. The information is being released because the time has come. The grid is ready. The question is whether you'll recognize your place in it. You're not an isolated piece trying to evolve alone against all odds. You're a node in a living web of consciousness surrounding the entire planet, connected to billions of other nodes, supported by a geometry that existed before any human civilization arose. The question isn't whether you belong to this grid. You already do. The question is whether you'll awaken to this connection and use it consciously. We've reached the point where most people stop being able to follow, not because it's too complicated, but because what comes next challenges everything we've been conditioned to accept as possible. When the Merkaba is fully activated, it forms an energy field around the body approximately 55 feet in diameter. The two tetrahedrons we discussed earlier begin spinning at extraordinary speeds, close to 90% of the speed of light, according to Drunvalo Melchizedek's teachings. And when this happens, something emerges, an energy disk at the base of the spine extending about 55 feet in all directions. The teachings describe this disk as the ascension vehicle, designed to transition you into your complete light body and to assist you in attaining higher levels of awakened consciousness. When active, this field takes your consciousness directly to higher dimensions. This deeply disturbed me when I understood the implications. What unfolds is a series of precise changes inside the body and its energy field. We're talking about a functional vehicle for crossing dimensions. Full Merkaba activation can be achieved through various methods. Melchizedek developed a specific technique known as the 17-breath meditation, where each breath serves a precise function. The first 6 balance the polarities of the body's electrical circuits. The next 7 re-establish prana flow through a central tube running through the body from the top of the head to below the feet. The final breaths activate the rotational fields that create the vehicle. Prana, the vital energy Eastern traditions have known for millennia, serves as fuel for the Merkaba. You can accumulate it through breathing techniques, or you can raise it by activating Kundalini energy at the base of the spine. This energy then amplifies through currents circulating around the light body, feeding the tetrahedron's rotation. But technical activation is just the beginning. What happens at the final levels of light body activation goes beyond anything we could call normal. At the 10th level, you manifest what the teachings call avatar abilities. This means you exist exactly where you want, when you want. Teleportation and instant manifestation become possible because you achieve full consciousness of being one with Source and being everything simultaneously. The separation between you and the rest of the universe dissolves completely. Stop and absorb what this means. We spend our entire lives believing we're trapped in a body, in a place, at a specific time. The final activation levels reveal that this prison was always illusory. The physical body continues to exist, but it ceases to be the anchor limiting where your consciousness can go. At the 11th level, something extraordinary happens. The universe recognizes you as a master, not as an honorary title or social recognition, as an energetic reality. The entire cosmos responds to you differently, treating and supporting you as someone who has completed the evolutionary cycle intended for this dimensional level. At the 12th level, the decision you made at the 11th level is fully implemented. You choose your role in the continuity of creation. Some opt to remain to assist others. Some choose to move to completely different dimensions. The choice is genuinely yours, and the Merkaba vehicle allows it to manifest. I spent weeks contemplating these possibilities. The idea that there's such a detailed map of the complete path, from the first confusing symptoms of awakening to total mastery over space and time, suggests someone has already walked this path and left instructions. We're in the middle of this process right now, whether we recognize it or not. The planet is changing, our bodies are changing, the Christ consciousness grid is strengthening. The only variable is how consciously we'll participate in this transformation. Light body and Merkaba activation require consistent practice. It requires regular moments of silence where you connect with this greater intelligence permeating everything. The ancients knew meditation wasn't an optional luxury. It was the fundamental technology for accessing expanded states of consciousness. Today, tools exist that can accelerate this process. We've developed a set of audio tracks based on specific frequencies that prepare your mind and energetic field to function as the masters described, a receiver tuned to the universal source. To discover how to access these tools and begin your practice immediately, click the link on the screen or in the comments. If this video resonated with you, write in the comments, "It made sense to me,"